What's My Line? Brought to you by Allstate, whose policies now include protection for your home, your family, as well as your car. You're in good hands with Allstate. Now let's all play What's My Line? And now, live from New York, let's meet our What's My Line panel. First, the delightful star of stage and television, Miss Arlene Francis.
And now the engaging star of Play Your Hunch on every weekday. And beginning next Wednesday evening, he will be starring nighttime, too. Merv Griffin.
Thank you, Arlene. A week from tomorrow night, the entire city of Fitchburg, Massachusetts will be jumping. Because that night, one of the loveliest and most talented actresses I know will be opening with a very bitter title, The Vinegar Tree. But she's the sweetest gal I know, and I always wanted to work on a show where I could say that about her. Here's delightful Fay Emerson.
And I'd like to introduce a man who's looking particularly proud today because he beat his son and Arlene's son at tennis, Mr. Bennett, Cerf.
Took a bit of doing, too. And here's our panel moderator, seraphic, scintillating, sometimes just a bit devious, I'm afraid, John Charles Daly.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line. Fay Emerson and Merv Griffin. It's a delight to have you on the panel. We're missing our Dorothy tonight, but if we have to be without her, it's certainly wonderful to see two such fresh and lovely talents with us.
Thank you, John.
And now, we'll throw some occupations at you and see what you can do with them. We'll also have a famous mystery guest before my friends on the panel a little bit later in the program, and we'll meet our first challenger at... Well, panel, we have a rather special task tonight. We have to be good enough to make Dorothy feel better as she shares the program with us at home. So let's see what you can do with our first contestant. Will you enter and sign in, please? Linda Humble, is that right? I suppose we shall have to wait till we find out how Dorothy feels after the show, but Merv and Bennett are feeling better already. Is it Miss or Mrs.?
Yes.
Miss. They're feeling even better now. And where are you from, Miss Humble?
Seattle, Washington.
Seattle, Washington. Yeah. Well, it's certainly nice to have you with us. May I present our panel, Miss Humble? Now, would you join me over here, please? Do you know how we keep score on What's My Line?
Yes.
In that event, we'll let the audience in the theater and the audience at home know exactly what your line is. All right, panel, we can tell you that Miss Humble is salaried and deals in a service, and let's begin the general questioning with Merv Griffin.
Thank you. Miss Humble, when you walked in, you had the walk and the stance of a performer. Are you?
Yes. No.
That's one down and 9 to go. Thank you very much, Miss Humble.
You should be.
Faye?
Miss Humble, does what you do have anything to do with the fact that Seattle is now having a great World's Fair?
Yes.
In other words, you do something at or with the fair.
Yes, I do.
Do you have anything to do, do you wear any kind of costume or uniform when you do what you're doing?
Yes.
Do you work high off the ground? Above the ground?
Sometimes. Yes.
You go up and down? You don't work up in the Space Needle, do you? Does she?
Yes.
Yes.
And you put it in the negative, so you'll get a no. You said you don't work in the Space Needle. That's
Let me see
2008.
if I can guess. Do you work in the Space Needle?
Yes.
Yes. But I think you'd have to find out
What, do you want to know what we have to find out what you do there?
Well, I hope so. We can't leave the whole general public thinking she shinnies up the outside of it every day.
Miss Humble, do you explain what's going on to visitors to the fair?
No.
That's 3 down and 7 to go. Thank you, Mr. Cerf. Miss Francis?
Well, Merv Griffin had an idea that she looked like an elevated type of girl. Does she operate in an elevator?
Yes.
Is it true that the elevator ever stuck between floors when Merv Griffin was in it? Is that how he knew?
Have I ever met you, Miss Humble? No?
I dare say that
You met Miss
situation he
Humility.
intends
This
to
is Miss
rectify
Humble.
right now. Well, now we've had a lot of ups and downs, so let's have some downs. We push all those over.
John, this ought to be investigated, I think. What is this, Merv? Were you stuck in an elevator out at the fair?
No.
No, he just thought that he knew her. That happens sometimes with Merv. He's playing his hunch.
I must say... I must
But I
say...
went up and down in one, and you look very familiar to me.
Well, now, you might
Maybe
actually...
you
You might
probably
actually...
rode with me.
Yes, you might
Did
have
you go up
ridden.
at night?
Pardon?
Were you at night there?
No, it was lunch.
Lunch. I wasn't there.
I tell you what, though, Merv, I think we can get this all worked out, you know, after the show.
Oh.
I'd like to say that I think Mrs. Griffin has it worked out already.
And I would like to say that Miss Humble, I must say, Merv has got fine taste, and it's been proven already by the citizens of Seattle, because Miss Humble was elected last month Miss Seattle, were you not? That's wonderful. And these
you.
high-speed elevators up and down in the Space Needle, it's a great fair, and one of my hopes is that I'll be able to get out to see it this year.
Thank you.
And I will hope that I can be one of your
I'd love to
passengers in
have
your
all of
elevator.
you.
Good, thank you. We hope all to see you then. Nice to see you. Now let's meet a second challenger. Will you enter and sign in, please? Joseph Musico, is that right, sir? Mr. Musico, where are you from?
From Brooklyn.
From Brooklyn. Well, how do, neighbor? Nice to see you. Meet some more neighbors. May I present the panel? Now, would you join me over here, Mr. Musico? Do you know how it keeps going?
Yes, sir.
Fine. We'll let the audience in the theater and the audience at home know exactly what your line is. Mr. Musico is self-employed and deals in a product. And let's begin the general questioning with Arlene Francis.
Well, is your product useful, Mr. Musico?
Yes,
Is it decorative?
possibly.
It had better be.
If one had it, then one would certainly show it to one's friends.
Yes,
Is it anything that might be worn on the person?
yes,
Is it an adornment of some kind?
As distinct from,
As distinct from just a plain, basic black dress. I mean,
Yes.
it is an adornment. Is it anything in the jewelry family?
no.
no, that's 1 down and 9 to go. Mr. Griffin,
Would, Mr. Musico, would either sex wear this?
No.
no, that's 2 down and 8 to go. Miss Emerson.
Go for high heels, Fay.
That's dangerous. Is this worn in a particular part of the body?
No.
No, that's 3 down and 7 to go. And I think with Mr. Musico's permission, I'm going to say is what I had feared might happen is happening. adornment has been accepted affirmatively in the designation which was put down by Arlene, is it anything other than a plain black dress? Mm-hmm. Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Musico, we have not yet established which sex uses this most, and may I guess that it's the female sex that uses it most?
Yes,
Is that
sir.
correct?
Correct.
When the ladies wear your product, is it visible to passers-by?
Yes.
Is it generally worn or carried or used above the neck?
No.
No, I wouldn't think so. 4 down and 6 to go, Miss Francis.
Is this a fairly expensive item to buy?
Fairly
I mean, would
expensive.
a lady think it was a lovely present at Christmas time?
I would say here, with your permission, that there would be circumstances under which a lady would consider it was a lovely present at Christmas time, but we could also assume that it might not necessarily be considered completely appropriate at Christmas time, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
When it is used, I will therefore rule out all furs. It has nothing to do with the fur family. No. When it is used, is it sometimes carried in the hand rather than worn on the person? And
No.
would you be disgraceful, therefore?
5 down and 5 to go, Mr. Griffin.
Mr. Musico, would you wear it between your neck and your waist?
Possibly.
Possibly?
I would say yes.
It sounds like it's very elastic. Could we have a conference, John?
You may have 30 seconds for a conference.
Some rubber in it.
Did you think it was jewelry or not jewelry?
It's adornment.
Jewelry. It's an adornment.
It might be something like a bridal dress or a maternity. Ha. There was a gasp in the audience.
Oh, Mr. Musico? Well,
When the light dawns around here, it's like lightning hit, you know?
You gave me the elevator, I'll give you the bridal outfit.
that's a good match. Maybe, Mr. Musico, that this could be purchased by a girl for a specific occasion. Right?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Would more of these be sold in June than any other month? Or maybe the month, maybe they buy them a month early. Wait a minute. Would, something to do with bridal outfits?
Yes.
The whole, and now I have to figure out what part of the bridal outfit?
Well, it would help.
Well, what have they got, Arlene?
They got a
Dress and a veil.
dress and a veil.
Well, it's mostly worn between the neck and the waist. You make wedding dresses, sir.
That's right. And I must say, one thing that tickles me, Mr. Musico, is with Romance Bridals Incorporated.
Oh, that's
Isn't that a nice thought? That's a very pleasant thought. And I trust you're very busy.
Yes, we are.
And I rather imagine this is continuous, isn't it?
Yes, it's an all year round affair rather than seasonal.
It used to be seasonal, I guess, in
Not
the old
anymore.
days.
That's correct.
They used to have to wait until it got warm enough.
You
in
think
the
this business is here to stay?
I think so.
Well, it was nice of you to stay with us, and thanks very much for being our guest on What's My Life. We'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment, but first, here is a word from... And now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery challenger, for which the panel is always blindfolded. Are those blindfolds in place, panel?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good. Will you enter mystery challenger and sign in, please? All right. Panel, as you know, a different form of questioning one question at a time, in turn moving clockwise. And we'll begin with Miss Fay Emerson.
Is our mystery guest, I guess I can address them. Are you in show business? Any branch of show business?
Yes.
Mr. Cerf?
Have the studios in Hollywood played an important part in your career?
Yes.
Miss Francis?
Are you best known, therefore, from your work in pictures?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Griffin?
Is there a picture of yours playing currently in New York, on Broadway?
Yes, sir.
Miss Emerson?
There is.
Oh, are you a straight dramatic actor as opposed to a singer or a dancer?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Cerf?
Is the picture that you are playing in at one of the big first-run houses on or near Broadway?
I would say so.
Yes, I think so. Miss Francis?
And has your picture recently opened here in New York?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Hello, James Mason.
Well, that was a little rough. They got into the cinema so quickly that we never had a chance to really play any games with them. But even then...
Well, I was kind of hoping Lolita was coming out with you, Mr. Mason.
I think we should say that Mr. Mason does give an amazingly, well, I shouldn't say it's amazing, but a remarkably good performance in Lolita. Just the best thing you've done in so long, and they've all been good.
I must agree, nothing has been said more truly in that all of his performances, I hope this doesn't embarrass you too much, but all of his performances are magnificent, and I'm sure we are hearing now, as we properly should, that there's another nomination coming up for James Mason. We all hope
John,
so.
might I ask Mr. Mason a question? What was it like working with this very young and inexperienced girl who played Lolita, Mr. Mason? Was it an interesting
It was very
adventure?
good. In the most professional sense, it was very good indeed. She's extremely talented, very bright. She's going to be a very important young actress.
You think she's going to have a long career?
I think so, if she wants it.
Was this her first picture, Lolita?
Yes, she's done one or two itty-bitty things on television on the coast, I think. That's all she'd done. But she's real good.
She's a remarkably fortunate young lady to have a chance to jump off with you, sir.
Oh, thank you very much.
It is so. And thanks very much for being
Thank
our
you,
guest.
John.
Nice to have you with us. And what's And we'll have another contestant after this word from our alternate speaker. And now to meet another contestant. Will you enter and sign in, please? James Smith. Is that right, sir? Mr. Smith, where are you from?
Dublin, Ireland.
Dublin, Ireland. Well, how nice to have you with us. May I present our panel, Mr. Smith? Now, would you join me over here, please, sir? Coming all the way from Dublin, I have to ask you, do you know how we keep score on What's My Line?
Yes, I think so.
All right, if you can give them a proper no answer to a question, we flip one card, we flip 10 cards, you have won the game. It's as simple as that. Now, let's let the audience in the theater and the audience at home know exactly what your line is. All right, panel. We can tell you that Mr. Smith is salaried and deals in a service. And let's begin the general questioning with Bennett, Cerf.
Mr. Smith, do you perform the service in or near Dublin?
Yes.
Does your service bring you into contact either immediately or in any way with tourists?
Let me have a small conference, if I may.
Yes.
Do you show something to tourists?
You mean specifically as an isolated factor of service?
No,
or?
I mean, would he be, in any sense, a guide or person who would take people through either, let's say, the Guinness Stout Distillery or places in Dublin?
No. That's right. That's right. 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Frances.
I think it's nice that Bennett thought of the Guinness Stout Distillery first. I know what his sightseeing has been.
That's where I went first.
Mr. Smith, do you have a position in Dublin or that means that you are a person that would be recognized by many of the people that live in Dublin?
Yes.
Are you, would you say that you were in government?
Yes.
Could you be perhaps something, could you be the mayor of Dublin?
No.
Or the...
Well, that's
No.
Briscoe.
That's 2
Yeah,
down
that's
and...
right. Well, how do I know when they elect people? Briscoe isn't the mayor any longer, is he?
Yes,
he
yes.
is again.
He's
he's
been
again.
re-elected, Lord.
This is probably his campaign manager.
Oh,
All right. 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Griffin.
Mr. Smith, I'm not sure if this questioning is right, the verbiage of it, but would you be with the Irish government rather than the city government on the city level? Would you be with the federal?
The Irish government.
The Irish government?
Yes, rather than as distinct from the Dublin government, yes.
Would you be in any way, shape, or form an ambassador to our states?
No.
That's 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Emerson.
Mr. Smith, could you be called, in the broadest sense of the term, a lawmaker?
In the broadest sense of the term, in other words, having some identification with the processes of law and all of the appurtenances thereto. In that broad terminology, I think we could say so, yes.
Oh, yes, I expected to know. But would you be more in the branch of government that makes the laws rather than the judiciary branch, which executes them or does whatever they do?
No.
That's 4 down and 6 to go, and we come to that stout fellow, Mr. Cerf.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daly. Mr. Smith, have you got anything to do with preserving law and order in the fine city of Dublin?
Yes.
Are you connected in any way with the police department? Then?
Yes.
Are you the chief of police of Dublin?
No.
That makes it 5 down and 5 to go, Miss Frances.
is it a title that is familiar to us?
Yes, it's a title.
Would you have anything to do with prison life?
Sometimes.
But you are not a warden of a prison?
No.
Are you appointed to office? Rather than elected?
May we have a conference?
I don't know what there is.
Can we have a
besides the
conference,
police. Yes,
too, John?
let's have a conference.
Yes,
You
can
have a
30
conference and we'll
seconds.
have a conference.
The answer-
And you all have conferences out there.
Arlene, we didn't say anything about detectives. I asked you to...
No, he's
Don't they have
federal. He
sheriff?
said he's federal. He wouldn't be. That's local. That's city level. Maybe he's military.
Sheriff or judge?
I don't think he's a judge, do you?
Maybe he's military.
Try it.
All right, now, Arlene, you got a yes to the... It's a position to which one would be appointed.
Appointed. Do you have a title other than just Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Would you ever be called Judge Smith?
No.
6 down and 4 to go,
I
Mr.
just
Griffin.
told you that.
Are there governors of the counties there? Would you be... I don't know if they...
The head of a county government, is that what you mean?
No, I wasn't going to ask that,
You weren't
John,
gonna
no. Because of the way you had your finger there.
No, Merv, actually, I have to throw the card in because we're... No, you really had it. Bennett had it, but he reached too high, and he stayed in
he's not
Dublin.
police chief,
This is
is it?
Sergeant Smith of the Irish National Police. Which he has been. He's been with the Irish National Police for 35 years, and he's here for his son's wedding. May we congratulate you, sir, on that, and wish your son and your daughter-in-law to be much happier. It's nice to have had you with us. And once again, Faye and Merv, it's nice to have had you with us, and good night, Miss Arlene Frances.
Good night and good night, Dorothy. And good night, dear Merv.
Good night, Arlene. Good night, Faye.
Good night, Merv. Good night, Dorothy. Good night, Bennett.
Hope you'll be better soon, Dorothy, and good night, John.
Good night, you stout fellow. Dorothy, just for that alone, you ought to feel better, because I got one of his puns and threw it back at him. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us on What's My Line?
What's My Line is a CBS television network production in association with Mark Goodson and Bill Todman. This is Johnny Olson speaking.